My Wi-Fi went out in the rain. How is it raining? Look. We're going out in the rain in the middle of summer. Look at this. This is why nobody should live in California. September, and it's flooding our patio. And then you can see sun up there. I don't know if you can see that very well, but you can see sun over there, raining over here. This makes no sense. Look. No editing, this is just pure, oh my lord, what is going on in California weather? My kid is sitting here going, what do you want is going on out here? What is this weather? Anything you want to say?
Welcome to Maniacal Monday.
Alright, so all weather jokes aside, for the most part, California is sunny. But we're not here to talk about the weather today or yesterday. We're here to talk about the weather last week. Last week I had the pleasure of going to an event hosted by Justin Scard and Crazy Ernie. Look up Haunted OC on the internet. He runs that. He's awesome. But they did an event over in Santa Ana where they sold some of his memorabilia, and they did kind of a meet and greet, and we were able to take pictures. Picture attached here. And I was able to actually meet Justin Scard, and as I've mentioned before, Justin Scard is kind of my YouTube hero because I was doing YouTube back when it first started, little vlogs about religion and so on. Some of those videos, although the morality is still relevant, I'm not so sure I believe anymore because my spirituality has grown and changed since then. But either way, I did vlogs about religion, spirituality, right and wrong, relationships, stuff like that, and I wasn't getting a following, so I stopped doing it for a while. And then I started watching Justin and saw one of his old videos where he's talking about it doesn't really matter how many people are viewing it, just so long as I can help one person and maybe, you know, be a positive influence. And that got me thinking about, you know, why am I doing YouTube? Am I doing YouTube because I want to be famous and make money? Or am I doing YouTube because I want to help people? And I want to help people. So here I am, and hopefully I'm making you laugh. Hopefully I'm inspiring you somehow, giving you good information. That's my goal. But anyway, last week the weather was great at Justin's event. I want you guys to go and check out Justin Scard or Live Fast, Die Poor, and check out some of his videos. I guarantee if you're a Disney nerd, you'll love this guy. He's perfect as far as Disney information goes. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and he loves talking about it. So go check him out, and yeah, let's get started here. There goes the wife to work. That means freedom for me. Now the real question is what to do with that freedom, because with great freedom comes great irresponsibility. So maybe I should mix it up today. Maybe I should actually do something productive. What do you guys say we take a trip to remember an important moment in history? And since my friend Justin Scard, who isn't really my friend, but I'm like a super fan, so my friend Justin Scard always has his friend Adam the Woo along, and I saw their new video today, and I was jealous. I'm going to have my friend Chris join me today, and we're going to go down to where I want to go and talk. It's a little bit of a serious issue, but we're going to talk today about something that's very close and dear to my heart. So this is Chris. Chris is my guest star. Chris, are you excited?
It's very.
This is your first official guest appearance without having to sit on a couch, so
that's
cool,
true.
right?
Instead, I sit on the car seat.
Okay, he's gonna sit back here, guys. So we'll give him a second to move.
Oh.
Wait, you can do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, he's gonna sit in the car seat. Hey guys, so here we are. We're over here at a place called Riverside National Cemetery. This place is veteran specific. which means when someone passes away, if they served our country or they're married to someone who served our country, they can be laid to rest here for their families to come and visit, for their friends to come and visit, and so on. Now I brought my friend Chris over here and we kind of just walked through. They have a special area for some very special veterans where they can be cremated and stored. And honestly, it was kind of humbling just to see. It's very quiet here, so I'm trying to not be very loud, and I tried to pick a place that wasn't largely populated so it wouldn't disrespect anyone. But we were just in here looking at all the names, looking at all the places they've served us, and it was just kind of humbling to see. Very, very quiet, very respectful place where our loved ones can just spend eternity in peace. Anyway, what I wanted to focus on is we have 9/11 today in history, 2001. So I wanted to do a little piece just remembering that day because it was a huge day in our history. I know I, for one, remember that day very clearly. Hey Chris, why don't you step on over here?
All right.
Do you remember where you were on 9/11?
I think I was in kindergarten.
Kindergarten?
Yeah.
Well, do you know what you're doing or what your parents might have said?
I don't remember much of it. My parents tell me that they saw it as it happened on the news.
Yeah.
At home, right in the living room, was on the news, playing live.
How was that for them?
It was shocking for them. Incredibly shocking.
Yeah.
It was like earth-shattering.
It was a really big deal.
Yeah.
Someone coming onto our soil and destroying so many lives, not to mention two of the most beautiful buildings in New York at the time.
Yeah.
So.
It was the first real terrorist attack.
Yeah.
So.
That was a big thing. I know I remember it specifically. I was also, I think, in kindergarten or first grade. I'm kind of blanking on which one, but I remember I was in a play. We were rehearsing a play after school, or I think it was a half day, but we were at school rehearsing The Three Little Pigs. Go figure, right? We were at school just doing what we did every day. I was the narrator for the play. My mom comes in. My teacher had no idea because she had her phone off and was just focused on getting us through the day and making sure the play was good because we had the show coming up. She had no idea. My mom came in, she looked frantic. She walked up to the teacher, came over to me, grabbed me by the hand, and we just started marching out. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And she's like, we'll tell you later. We need to go home. We need to go home. So we went home. My dad came home. My dad was home, and I'm thinking I'm in trouble because my mom almost never looked like that in my life. She still hasn't ever looked like she did on that day again, how affected she was. And then my dad coming home early, that was a big deal. That only happened if I did something really stupid, where I had been mouthing off or doing something dumb, and he had to come home and talk to me. And we all know how that went, 90s kids. But it was a big thing. And then they sat down with me and they told me what had happened. And I couldn't grasp it at the time, but looking back, it was a really big deal for our country because my dad was an ex-veteran. He served at the very end of the Vietnam War. And I will tell you one thing, he was not afraid of anything. Never was. But on that day, 9/11, I saw him scared. And it wasn't just him, it was our entire country. Because if people could fly into our country and do something so huge, so dramatic, what else could they do? And since then, we've kind of seen what they can do, and we've had to overcome. But we have overcome as a nation. What do you think, Chris? Do you think we've overcome? Do you think we've become stronger because of that, or do you think we've become weaker because of that?
That's an interesting question. I would like to think that we've overcome.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Become stronger, more prepared for situations like that.
I think 9/11 for our country is one of the hardest days that we've ever been through. Like I've already said, it was a disruption of our privacy. It was a disruption of our safety. It was a huge message from a terrorist organization to the United States people saying, we can't touch you. We can do what we want if you don't leave us alone because of what was going on overseas. Like I said, I agree with my friend Chris, who's sitting right over here. It made us stronger because even though we have new security measures we may not be happy with, even though we may have new fears that we never had before, we have a new level of awareness as a country, not only of what people can do to us, not only of how we can prevent it, but also of how close we can become when terror strikes us. You know, our country was never stronger than the few days after that event happened. It was fear that united us. Now, I'm not saying we need fear to unite. I'm not saying we're broken. But we definitely have a lot of friction going on in our country, and to try and make this video as relevant as possible, I want to point out that we can unite, and that was an example of how we can unite as a country. Now, the question is whether or not it's going to take another act of terrorism to do so. I don't believe it will. I think there will always be friction, there will always be racism, there will always be trial, and we will always have to try and overcome some sort of difficulty. But I think very soon our country is going to come to an understanding amongst its people, whether it's a majority or minority, where we can once again live as American people, and American can be great again. Now I'm going to go ahead and visit my dad. This is actually the exact spot right here where we had his service. I was sitting in one of those chairs, and the casket was right over here. If you can, I'd highly recommend that you come check this place out on your own if you're in the area. It's a very nice, beautiful place with lakes and ponds and clean-cut grass. Very peaceful. If you don't have somebody that you know buried here, I still think it's one of the best places you can come to. Just to have a moment where you can realize the sacrifices made by our veterans. And in the spirit of 9/11, it might also be a great thing to come here and remember our non-military veterans, firefighters, police officers, civil servants, regular people who all helped our country on 9/11. While we're talking about veterans, I'd like to mention one very important one in my life during high school. He was a ex-K-9 police officer, he was a minister, he was a studier of the Word of God, he was a great spiritual man, and he was a father to my best friend at the time. Unfortunately, he passed away here August, but he will forever live on, of course, in our hearts and souls. In high school, whenever I went over to my friend Manuel's house, there would be times when I would steal away and I would go talk to him and ask him questions that I had about the Bible and about spirituality and about being a good man. And he helped give me very short lessons, but lessons nonetheless, of how I could live up to God's expectation for myself. I haven't seen him in a long time because of some personal issues with myself and his grandson, and I still care very much about his grandson. I would consider him a brother, and I would consider him a friend to this day. But unfortunately, the wedge that is between us kept myself and him apart. Now, this man's name is Victor Paul, ex-K-9 police officer and man of God. I would like for all of us to take a moment of silence. I'm going to go ahead and throw up a picture of him on the screen for you guys to see. But I'd like a moment of silence for him, along with all the other veterans that we remember who served our country, not only on 9/11, but throughout history, right now. So please bow your heads, close your eyes, and take a moment to think about the sacrifices that have provided for our freedom.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life. And I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you taking that moment to remember Victor Paul, as well as all the other veterans in history, specifically those on 9/11 who sacrificed for our country. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get out of this kind of conversation. I think we need to end on a positive note, so I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about something new. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Won't you be my neighbor? Now I know I'm no Mr. Rogers, but I thought he was worth a mention because he was another great veteran that served our country in his own way. And I know I also promised I'd get off the topic of veterans, but how can you stop? How can you stop talking about the great people in our American history on a day like today? Those are the people that have held us together. Now I will move off topic now that I've gotten that last one in. The next topic I'd like to talk to you about is the new episode formatting! We're having some major changes coming up, guys. Watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood the other day, I realized something. His episodes had consistency. Mine, as of yet, do not. And I don't think they ever will, because that's just not how my brain works. But what they can have is a schedule. An episode schedule is something I'm going to start putting into place. From here on out, on In Future Tense, or Intense Future, we're going to have 4 episodes a month. Every Monday, a new episode is going to come out. The first Monday of the month is going to be Real Talk, where we discuss a real and pertinent issue to either myself or to society. We're going to discuss the goods, the bads, the ways to deal with it, and some examples. The second episode of the month will be a travel episode. I haven't decided what the name will be, but it'll be going to different places locally or to Disneyland or to the beach and talking about some of the history there, some of the things that it makes me think about, some of the people that I remember, and things like that. Just very, again, me, because this is my channel, talking to you about some things that I think are important to mention. Now, the third episode is the one you really want to stay tuned for, because that's the one that's going to drive you batty. And that one is going to be called Ransom Land. And if Justin's watching this, I apologize, because he has a video called Random Land that you should check out. And I was trying so hard to find a name for this episode, and I really wanted to use Random Land. Even before I knew about Justin, I wanted to have a Random Land vlog. Beat me to the punch. But I'm sarcastic, and I really like that name, so I'm going to change it up one letter and add a sinister theme. Not really, but it's kind of a funny theme. The whole idea of Ransom Land is I'm going to hold you hostage throughout my videos. And after you've seen the video, I promise that you'll have your self-respect back, because just like when I was watching Jersey Shore, I always felt a little better about myself after I was done. Now, the last episode of the month is going to just be a plain old vlog. And you should go to Justin Scard, and yes, I know I'm talking about him a lot, but he is the best. Go to Justin Scard and watch his Sometimes vlog. That used to happen sometimes. But I'm just going to take the camera, I'm going to walk around with it, I'm going to talk about what's been going on in the world, in my life, in my wife's life, whatever's going on that interests me for the month. And that'll be kind of a roundabout way where I can introduce new ideas to you, new topics, and if you guys do decide that you're actually going to follow me at some point, we can make that a hashtag #GotToAskJimmy and talk about it. So go ahead and like this video if you like it, dislike it if you don't like it, never come back if you hate me, subscribe if you love me, and we'll be back next week's episode. Very special. It is the first Ransom Land episode, and I guarantee it'll be painful.